My name is Alden MacDonald. I'm a certified executive chef and full-time faculty member for hospitality leadership at Northern Michigan University. Today I'm going to show you a delightful side dish of roasted broccoli and with a little bit of a twist that you probably haven't seen before. So the first thing I'm going to do for this dish is I need to get my broccoli roasting. And one thing I want to point out is a lot of times I find lately that our broccoli, and one thing that drives me crazy is wasting the bottom parts of our broccoli. So what I did is I took my head of broccoli, I'm going to put it back together like a puzzle piece, and what I did is I just cut it long ways, just trimmed the very bottom off and cut it long ways so I have 4 long pieces. What's great is we're going to use this whole part of the broccoli. Instead of having the bottoms that usually go into the trash or the compost, we're going to use the whole thing. So I cut it long ways. I'm going to step over here. I'm going to grab my pan out of the hot oven. I've got pans sitting in my hot oven, and I will show you why this is important in just a second. So I have my hot pan, just came out of the oven, and I'm going to put a little bit, about 2 tablespoons of oil in here. And the reason I do it this way is that oil is immediately hot. There we go. And it swirls around, heats that oil up immediately. Then I'm going to take my broccoli and set it down. And you can hear and see that it's already sizzling because that pan was hot. So now I just take this, I'm going to put it back in my already hot oven, and I'm going to roast it for about 15 minutes. When we come back, we're going to finish assembling the dish, put it back in the oven, and we'll have a beautiful side dish of roasted broccoli. Okay, so our broccoli has been roasting in the oven for about 15 minutes. And at this point in time, what we're going to do is, the handle's very hot, so make sure you're using a hot pad, is I'm going to take the broccoli out, and as you can see, it has a really beautiful color on the bottom. And that's what we want. So I'm going to set these over here off to the side. At home, you can just use a plate. You don't have to use a fancy sheet tray. So I'm going to set these aside here. Now it's time to build the base of the rest of our dish. So here I have a jar of just traditional tomato sauce. You can use a marinara. Look for sales. I, in my house, always keep 2 to 4 jars of marinara or traditional tomato sauce like this. I don't care if it's Ragu, Prego, whatever, Meyer brand, I don't care. And I keep those on my shelves because they're really great ways to add things like quick dinners, that kind of thing, add it to the base of something like this. Some of this in a pan with some eggs, like they're called eggs in purgatory, amazing. And so if you have these things on hand, especially when they go on sale, they store really well, and I just love having some of those shelf-stable items available. So in my hot pan, I'm going to pour some of this marinara, and I'm going to make just a nice coat on the bottom. And that hot pan is going to start to warm that marinara up right away, which is good. Got that. Then I'm going to take some chickpeas. Yes, chickpeas. And I've taken these and just drained them and given them a rinse. And I'm sprinkling these on top. And I took a whole can of chickpeas. Honestly, this would be a fantastic vegetarian dinner all by itself. So I have my chickpeas, my marinara. I have some mozzarella cheese. I'm just going to sprinkle that mozzarella cheese on top of the chickpeas. Like that. So now I have a great base. Then I'm going to take my broccoli, and I want that yummy, colorful side to be up because, well, it just looks awesome. And that way you have exposure of the heat to the other sides. So if that roasted side down is now going to go up. I put this back into my pan like this. Oh, that looks so good. And then what I want to do is I'm going to make a little breading for the top. So I've got panko breadcrumbs. I have Parmesan cheese. I'm going to mix that in. I like Parmesan cheese. So the recipe calls for a 1/3 cup. This is more like a 1/2, 3/4 cup because I'm a big fan of Parmesan cheese. So one thing is this is going to kind of fall apart. So the little secret is add just a little oil. But before you do that, I've got a little dried thyme that I'm going to throw in there. A little dried oregano, and this is ground up really well, which is great because that means those flavors are going to mix. Dried spices and herbs are great for this type of thing. Okay, I mix this up. I wish you could smell this. I'm telling you, it's so good. Great. And you really don't need a lot of salt for this, but I am going to do just a little sprinkle of salt on top. Just a little to help bring all those flavors out. But when you have these chickpeas were canned, they're going to have salt in them. The mozzarella cheese will have salt in it. The marinara will have salt in it. So you don't need a lot. Then I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to mix this in with my breadcrumbs. And what that does is just binds that cheese, the spices, and the breadcrumbs together a little bit. It should just become just a little chunky, which is good. And then I have this really nice mix that I'm now going to take and sprinkle liberally over my broccoli, like this. And it's okay to sprinkle it over the whole dish. I just like to focus on my broccoli first, because when I get this broccoli out and put it on a plate, I want those nice crispies on top of my broccoli. Okay, so I've taken all of my nice panko breadcrumb, and then using my dry towel, because that pan is still hot, I'm going to put this back into this hot oven and let it roast for another 15-20 minutes. That's going to heat the marinara, heat up the beans, melt the cheese, crisp up the panko, and finish softening that broccoli. So we'll come back in about 15 minutes and show you what it looks like. Okay, so our broccoli has been in the oven for about 15-20 minutes, and I want to show you what it looks like. It's come out of the oven. As you can see, it has some beautiful color along the edges. The cheese is melted. The panko is nice and crunchy and crispy on top, and that broccoli is nice and tender. What a wonderful side dish or vegetarian entree to eat on a nice cool night. Enjoy.